The AFC West might be the most unpredictable division in football this year. You've got Mahomes and the Chiefs still on top, a retooled Chargers squad led by Jim Harbaugh, a Broncos team that shocked people last season and wants even more, and the Raiders who are still trying to find their identity. In this video, I'm breaking down the ceiling and floor for all four AFC West teams, the best case and worst case scenarios heading into 2025. This is the start of a brand new series where I'm going division by division, so if you want to stay ahead of the curve this season, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop your own ceiling and floor predictions in the comments, and let me know which division I should cover next. I respond to every comment. Now, let's start with who I think finishes last in the AFC West, the Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, this team looks vastly different from last season. Pete Carroll takes over as head coach, Geno Smith comes in at quarterback, and they add talent like rookie running back Ashton Jeanty. Despite some of these fresh faces, they still lack the chemistry and experience of the rest of the division. And now I do think that this team will have progress, but it will be gradual. It will not be a full-blown turnaround like we saw in Washington. Now, they start off ice cold, dropping their first 5 games. They play at the Patriots, home versus the Chargers, at the Commanders, home versus the Bears, and at the Colts. But in Week 6, they finally get on the board with a win over the Titans and rookie quarterback Cam Ward. They then lose to the Chiefs before heading into the bye at 1-6. Out of the bye, though, they beat Jacksonville at home and followed up with losses to Dallas and Denver. In Week 12, I've got them pulling out a gritty win for the first overall pick over Cleveland, but then comes a rough 4-game skid against the Chargers, the Broncos, the Eagles, and the Texans before finishing strong with 2 wins over the Giants and Chiefs, which puts them at 5-12. In my opinion, their ceiling is 6-11 if this team and Geno finds the rhythm early, but their floor is 3-14 if the chemistry and coaching really never click. Now, this team has some upside, but not enough consistency, in my opinion, to hang in one of the toughest divisions in football. At least not yet. Now, next up, finishing third in the AFC West, I've got the Los Angeles Chargers. This offense has been retooled perfectly for Jim Harbaugh's scheme. Big guards, physical tackles, and now Najee Harris leading a bruising backfield. I think we'll see a much more consistent run game than LA's had in years, but the receiver room holds them back a bit. Ladd McConkey was great last year, don't get me wrong, but he's more of a flex slot kind of guy. Quentin Johnston is still their main outside threat, and while I give him a longer leash than most do, I'm not really fully sold on him as a true wide receiver 1 or a true X. Defensively, they're solid, but the secondary depth is a concern to me. Derwin James and Nareeb Steele are elite, but guys like Dante Jackson are aging, and the rest of the group is largely untested. Now, for the season outlook, they open with a strong international win over the Chiefs. Then they go on to win 3 more, beating the Raiders, the Broncos, and Giants to start the season 4-0. Then I've got back-to-back losses versus the Commanders and Dolphins. They then respond with wins over the Colts, Vikings, and Titans before losing to the Steelers and Jags heading into the bye at 7-4. Post-bye, they beat the Raiders, they lose to the Eagles, they fall to the Chiefs at Arrowhead, and then finish with a win over Dallas, a win versus Houston, but a pivotal loss in Denver, finishing 10-7. In my opinion, their ceiling is 11-6. If they can pull off wins in toss-up games like Week 17 versus Houston, Week 18 versus the Broncos, or Week 10 versus Pittsburgh. However, their floor, I think, is 8-9. If they lose early to the Chiefs in Week 1, and games like the Steelers swing the wrong way, it might not be pretty. Herbert, though, won't need to go nuclear this year, but he needs to be taking care of the football. Najee and Omari and Hampton give them a real ground game, but late-game defensive breakdowns is what I think will hold them back, which is why I've got the Chargers finishing third in the AFC West. Now, next up, I do think this gap is closing, but the Broncos still aren't quite ready to dethrone the Chiefs, not yet. But make no mistake, this is a team that can make some serious noise. Bo Nix is coming off a very strong rookie campaign and should take another step forward in year 2. Adding a reliable target like Evan Ingram only helps his case, and while the offensive line isn't elite, it's quietly one of the better units in the league. But what really gives this team its identity is the defense. This might be the best unit in the entire AFC West, definitely even in contention for the league's best defense. Denver added Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga this offseason, and both should make an immediate impact. Add that to a secondary led by Pat Surtain, fresh off a Defensive Player of the Year season, and you've got a scary group. Now, let's talk about the schedule. I've got them starting 2-0 with wins over the Titans and Colts before dropping a tough one to the Chargers in Week 3. They then bounce back in Week 4 with a huge home win over the Bengals, then fall on the road to the Eagles. From there on, they go on a bit of a heater, picking up wins over the Jets, the Giants, and the Cowboys before slipping in Houston against the Texans. Then they recover with back-to-back home wins versus the Raiders and Chiefs, entering the bye at 7-3. After the bye, they take a tough road loss to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, bounce back with another win over the Raiders, and then lose a very close game to the Packers at home. They then finished the year by beating the Jags, losing at Arrowhead to the Chiefs, and then grabbing a clutch Week 18 win over the Chargers to lock in a wildcard spot. That puts Denver at 11-6 with a ceiling of 12-5 if games like the Packers, Bengals, or Week 11 versus the Chiefs swing their way. Their floor is around 8-9 if Bo struggles and the offense stalls in some of those tighter matchups. Like I said though in my full Broncos video, if Bo Nix protects the football, this defense can and will carry them very far. Now, last but not least, shockingly, I have the Chiefs taking the AFC West. Not a hot take, but this season might not be as dominant as years past. I actually think the Chiefs take a slight step back in 2025. This could very well be the final season for Travis Kelce, and there are some real question marks across the offense. Isaiah Pacheco is coming off an injury. I know he played in the end of last season, but he still needs to reestablish himself. Xavier Worthy is a wild card depending on how the league handles his situation, and the offensive line lost Joe Thuney, which is no small hit. That said though, rookie Jalen Royals has been a bright spot in camp apparently, and could end up being a huge surprise. Even with all those offensive question marks though, the defense is still elite. Nick Bolton and Chris Jones anchor one of the best units in football, and there are playmakers flying around at every level. And here's how I think the season plays out for the Chiefs. They open up with a loss to the Chargers internationally, then bounce back with wins over the Eagles and Giants, but they then fall on the road to the Ravens. A quick side note here, I think that the Chiefs will go 1-1 versus the Eagles and the Ravens in Week 2 and Week 4. I don't know, I just picked the Eagles because they're playing them at home, and I picked them to lose to the Ravens because they're playing on the road. But I do think that the Chiefs go 1-1, because it would be very hard to go 2-0. Now, with that, they then follow the loss to the Ravens up with 4 straight wins. Jaguars on the road, and then 3 straight home wins over the Lions, the Raiders, and Commanders. After a Week 9 road loss to the Bills, though, they then hit the bye, and surprisingly, I've got Mahomes and Andy Reid losing to Denver on a rare post-bye loss in Week 11. Then, from there, they catch fire. 6 straight wins against the Colts, the Cowboys, the Texans, the Chargers, the Titans, and then a final win versus Denver. They finish the year with a Week 18 loss to the Raiders, benching their starters, but still take the division 12-5. If everything clicks, Pacheco stays healthy, Royals breaks out, and Mahomes hits playoff form early, the ceiling is absolutely 14-3. But if this offense takes a while to settle, the floor is still a very respectable 11-6. Mahomes had a good year in 2024, but he wasn't invincible. Now in 2025, this team might actually have another chip on its shoulder, and that's when Kansas City gets dangerous. So, overall, to recap, I've got the Raiders finishing 4th, the Chargers taking 3rd, Denver locking up a wildcard spot in 2nd, and the Chiefs still sitting on top for now. But, like I said at the start, this division is wildly unpredictable. One injury, one breakout, one coaching adjustment, and everything could flip. But now it's your turn. Drop your ceiling and floor predictions for each team in the AFC West in the comments, and let me know which division you want to see me break down next. I read every comment and respond to all of them. And if you're enjoying this series and want to stay ahead of the curve before kickoff, hit that subscribe button and make sure to give the video a like.